All right, so we're going to go ahead and start relating decimals and fractions. This is Module 4, Lesson 17. And we're going to start off with 0.1 times 4. And you want to think of 0.1 in fraction form. And so when you read this number, it is read as 1/10. So written as a fraction, it's 1/10 times 4. And you're just multiplying just like you would any other fraction. You multiply straight across. That gives you 4/10. And then we want to write that back in decimal form. So 4/10 written in decimal form is the same way that you say it. So 0.4 is the same as 4/10. Next one will be 0.1 times 2. Okay, so you could read this as 1/10 of 2. Write it as a fraction, 1/10 times 2 over 1 is 2/10. You can read it as 2/10, and then you can write that as a decimal, 2/10. If we kick it up a little bit here and we do 0.01 times 6, you would write this as a fraction. So 0.01 is read 1/100th. Okay, sorry, child. 0.01 read as a fraction is 1/100th. So you would write that as 1/100th times 6 over 1, multiply straight across. 1 times 6 is 6. 100 times 1 is 100. So we read this as 6/100ths, and then you're going to go ahead and write that as 6/100ths. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at it and use a little bit of a fraction model here. So let's do 0.1 times 0.1. But we are going to use a hundreds chart. And so you're going to want to split it in half and then split each half into fifths. So then you get tenths, and you're going to get tenths this way, which will give us 100 little squares on here. Okay, so we have tenths here. We need to go tenths the other way. All right, so now we have 100. So this is 1 whole. Okay, and now we're doing 1/10 of 1/10. Okay, so if we go ahead and color 1/10, okay, so 1/10 would be 10 of these squares, right? So I'm going to color my 1/10 here, and we'll call that 1/10. Yeah, we can do it in fraction form, 1/10. And then we're going to go 1/10 the other direction. And then we're going to pay attention to the overlap like we have before. So this is also 1/10. This is our overlap, so 1/10 of 1/10, or 1/10 times 1/10 is this, and this is one piece out of the whole. The whole is 100, so 1/10 of 1/10 equals 1/100th. And then you can write that in decimal form. All right, next one will be 0.2. Check, make sure you guys can see this. Okay, 0.2 times 0.1. And same thing, we'll draw out our square, we'll get it into hundredths, cut it in half. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and shade 2/10. So 2/10 would be this whole part here. Okay, so straight down. 0.2. 0.2 or 2/10, and then we're going to go 1/10 the other direction, shade that, and then we're going to check the overlapping pieces. Overlapping, we have 2 parts now, so we have 2 out of 100 overlapping, and then written as a decimal 0.02. Okay, now move on to the next one. All right, let's go ahead and do 0.1 times 0.01, so 1/10 times 1/100th. And we'll go ahead and convert this into fraction form, so that's 1/10 times 1/100th. Okay, we're going to multiply. 1 times 1 is 1. 10 times 100 is 1,000. So 1/10 of 1/100th is 1,000th, and then you're going to go ahead and rewrite that into decimal form. Next one, we'll do 0.5 times 0.001. And we're going to write it as a fraction. So 5/10 times 1,000th equals 5 10,000ths. Okay, and then as a decimal, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5 10,000ths. Nope. This would be 1,000. This would be 10,000. All right, scratch that. The 5 goes here. Let me rewrite that. So 5 10,000ths. So this is tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and then 10,000ths. There we go. And then if we go ahead and try something greater than 1, 1.5 times 0.01, how are we going to do this? Well, we can go ahead and write it out. So you've got 1 and 5/10, 1 and 5/10 times 1/100th. Okay, you can turn this into an improper fraction. 10 times 1 is 10 plus 5, so you have 15/10 times 1/100th gives us 15 over 1,000. And then as a decimal, 15,000ths. Okay, so think about your place value. You've got tenths, hundredths, thousandths. If it's 15,000ths, then the 5 and the 15 goes in the thousandths place, and then you could work backwards. So 15,000ths looks like this as a decimal. All right. So next problem, we'll go ahead and do 7 times 2/10. And we'll write that as a multiplication problem. 7 times 2/10 gives us 14/10. And then 14/10 gives us 1 and 4/10. And then written as a decimal, it's 1 and, remember the decimal means and, 4/10. All right, next problem will be 7/10 times 2/10. Again, you're going to write it out as a fraction, so 7/10 times 2/10, and remember you multiply straight across. 7 times 2 is 14, 10 times 10 is 100. So this gives us 14/100ths, and then in decimal form, the 4, remember the last number, will be in the hundredths place. So 0.14 is 14/100ths in decimal form. Next one, 0.07 times 0.2. Write it out as a fraction, so 7 hundredths times 2 tenths, multiply straight across. 14 over 100 times 10 is 1,000. So 14 thousandths. And again, we've got tenths, hundredths, thousandths. The 4 needs to be in the thousandths place, and then you can work backwards. So there's your answer. And is that it? Okay, so on the problem set, you're going to go ahead and do the models. Okay, color in each column, so 1/10. I'll go ahead and do B on the problem set. So you've got 4 tenths times 3 tenths. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and do 4 tenths. One whole stick here is 1/10, so you need 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4 tenths, and then we're going to do 3 tenths. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and color our 4 tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 tenths times 3 tenths. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we're going to count up all the overlapping. So this here is what's overlapping. So it's 3 by 4, that's 12. Okay, so 12 out of, and remember you're going by these smaller squares, which are hundredths. So 12 hundredths, and then written in decimal form, tenths, hundredths. You want your 2 in the hundredths place, and you work backwards. So 0.12 will be your answer. But you need to work on the model this way, color, label, and then count what's overlapping. And then the rest of it, I'm going to go ahead and have you work out on your own. It's you're looking at problems that begin with decimals, convert it to a fraction, multiply, convert back to a decimal. Okay? All right, good luck, and I'll see you soon.